Business Sidekick.
Hello all, it's Business Sidekick and it's Justina again, LiveChat content writer. My today's guest star is Sujan Patel, the co-founder of Web Profits agency, digital marketing expert and adrenaline addict. To be honest, at first I wanted to talk with Sujan about content marketing, but as soon as I started to dig deeper, when I took a look at his website, the pictures he shares, I said to myself, no way. Sujan is a very interesting character. He's not afraid to be himself. He talks loud about things he cares about, including fast cars, motorcycles, and parachute jumps. I think that this kind of honesty that shows people that you're a person of flesh and blood is much more interesting and effective than showing your, let's call it, business side only. So, in other words, I'm talking today with a branding expert about how to successfully implement branding for your business. Enjoy!
Business Sidekick.
Hello, Sujan. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation and being a part of Business Sidekick.
My pleasure. Excited to be on.
Yeah, awesome. Can you please tell me something about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been doing digital marketing for 13 years. I'm the co-founder of a handful of startups these days and a marketing agency called Web Profits. And I have a couple of software companies called Narrow, ContentMarketer.io, Q, and kind of list goes on. It's been a fun couple of years.
As you said, you're a digital marketing expert, co-founder at Web Profits. You're working now as a consultant, right? You're a talented entrepreneur, and you also have a temper. Is it true that you've asked your wife to marry after 2 weeks of your relationship?
Yeah. I like. I'm definitely a risk taker. That's for sure. It's something I kind of. If I have a good gut feeling or intuition, and then I just typically react with it. Yeah, and you know what's really awesome, that I found this information on your website, and I was really amazed that it's something that you share with your audience, and it's not only the story of your success, but it's also the story of your life, right? Yeah, I think I kind of put everything in one place because I try to be as transparent as possible, and hopefully my kind of whatever I'm doing can help motivate people, or they can maybe learn from it, or maybe hopefully not make the same mistakes. And so I try to share everything I've kind of learned, and I like to do things the hard way, which I feel like is fairly fun for me. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe not, but I like to do things the fun way and kind of share with everybody my experience, or once I've learned.
And I remember when I saw your cover picture on Twitter, and I said to myself, "Oh my God, is this guy upside down? Oh my God, what is he doing?" Can you tell our listeners what's on this picture?
Yeah, so it's a picture of me skydiving. I used to be afraid of heights. And so naturally I was like, let's go jump out of planes.
Yeah, naturally, of course.
Naturally, of course. And so, I took on skydiving. And so my website picture is literally me upside down, jumping out of a plane. So I usually go a couple times a month. Usually do maybe like 5-10 jumps a month.
Wow. Wow, and you also love fast cars and motorcycles, right?
Yeah. So I'm some would say I'm an adrenaline junkie, but I like to do things that are fun and fairly risky, I guess.
Oh yeah. And also I've seen your video, and you have this "Get Shit Done" T-shirt on you, and you're saying that about this 17 bones that you broke while motorcycle racing. That's really, whoa. And to be honest, when I saw this video, I was like, wow, this guy is awesome. And you know why? Because I think that business world is terribly boring. And I think that a common entrepreneur seems to be a copy of another one. They all are talking about the same things, revenue, money, having more customers. They all wear, suits, play golf. And why do you think it looks like that?
I don't know. Honestly, I think people just kind of mimic or copy other people, and they continue on with whatever kind of boring trends. And I think it's just copying, mimicking, and lack of, I think, innovation. I try to go the opposite way. I actually tried that way, and it didn't work because I was just like everyone else, and I can't outsmart the smartest people in the world. That's just not possible. I mean, not with my capabilities today. And so my approach is kind of be unique, be different, show personality. I think it's very important to show personality because, frankly, everybody has a personality, whether it's craziness like I do, jumping out of planes, or you are obsessed maybe with Pokemon, and that's fine. Like, I think showing that you are a human being.
But thanks.
Of course not. But, it's whatever the hobby, whatever your passions are, I think it's important to show that and showcase that because that's what makes you a human. And I think when you add the emotion and human and personality to business, that's kind of how you can stand out.
Mm-hmm. And I was always laughing that people want to be like, Blake Carrington because they watched Dynasty too much. When you decided to be different?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me of why I was aiming to be different was just to essentially stand out. I've been trying to build up a personal brand, a business, and I found that like when I tried the normal way, or what I found was, the normal way, which we're now is the boring, the typical way, I didn't get anywhere. And so when I started telling people, when I meet people in person, or I talk to groups of people, I realized that, what I actually do is interesting. Or when I say my story, people are attentively listening and I get good feedback. And so I started putting more of my personality and how I really feel on the web and using that to kind of build my brand, or just to be different. And I think there's a lot of people that are educating or writing content, and that's, it's hard to stand out from those guys. So how do I be different? I don't use big words. I share my experiences. I make sure that I share my experiences as a practitioner, not just a random person giving advice. And I have a strong opinion, and I vocalize that instead of keeping it quiet.
So basically, by talking about your real life, your real thoughts, you're building trust among your audience, right?
Trust, and I think authenticity. And people generally I've gotten, and this is lots of feedback and things like that. So I use what I do and getting feedback from people, asking my audience, my peers, the people I look up to, my mentors, for feedback, and not for advice. I ask them for feedback. So I like to do things, and so I just go and execute. And maybe that's not. Well, actually, there's a few times when it's successful, but a lot of times it's not. And when that happens, I ask for feedback, and I just kind of adjust. And so I found that all of these things are working, and generally I get feedback like, I like your videos, you're sharing it specifically, and here's the simple way to do it. And people have given me feedback saying I can relate to you, and that's personally that's what I'm going for, because I'm trying to share that it is not that hard. You can be unique, and the most professional person in the room, or have to wear a suit, or $500 shoes, or $5,000 watch, or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Did you define your target audience? I mean, how did you know that it will work, or you didn't?
Early on, I didn't. I think early on, I just went in and started just doing things, and I had a general idea of who my audience was, like very vague. But as I continued, it got more and more clear. And honestly, people will ask like, why are you building a personal brand? Or who's your audience? It's entrepreneurs and marketers. Like I would say like the next generation of people that are doing things, my peers, maybe other founders and entrepreneurs. And that's it. I'll keep it vague and try to be appealing to multiple types of people, and there's not really a reason I'm doing these things. It's
So,
just
intuition
how
again.
I learn is I share it. I share my experiences, right? And that helps me remember my experiences so I don't make the same mistake. Helps me get over failures and just move on.
What was your biggest mistake?
I think my biggest mistake is early on not leveraging blogging and writing and sharing my experiences like I'm doing now. I started so guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, Neil Patel. There's so many people that have been doing it for 10 plus years, and it shows they've built so much authority. I started being consistent probably 2014. So not that long. I started earlier, but realistically, consistently producing good content, being out there, having this, different personality, showing my, craziness or skydiving, whatever you call it. If I did this earlier, I would have way bigger audience, and so I've been doing it for 3 years now versus 10 years. And so that's my biggest mistake.
Do you think that personal branding is something that every entrepreneur should do?
Yeah, definitely. It helps you. It helps open doors, get intros, get leads. Whatever you're doing with your business, it's going to help you get further. Networking and build. It helps you network and learn from other people's failures and sometimes get help when you need it and when you don't need it, or people prevent you from failing, even if you don't know you're doing something wrong. So I think personal branding is a necessity for every marketer, entrepreneur, everybody that's building has a career in anything. It doesn't matter if you're in marketing or a scientist. You kind of, if you have a personal brand and audience, you have people rooting for you. You have people that will help you if you ask.
And the good thing about it, because I just thought that because I was watching your videos and I know about your interests, I personally think like I know you, so that's why, for example, it's much easier for me to talk to you, to reach out, and that's awesome, right? But I'm also wondering is it possible to create a personal brand if you have an organization, if you're working in a company? Do you think it's also possible?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's not. You don't need to be an entrepreneur to build a personal brand. I think you can be an employee, you can be a company. You don't have to even be a person anymore. Because everybody, like a company is a living organization. A person is still, a person. I think you have to figure out why you're doing things. So if let's say you're a marketer or salesperson, think, and you want to leverage personal branding, or you're thinking about doing it, think about your end goal. What are you trying to do with personal branding? I think a lot of people don't know what they want from the outcome, and so they think it might not work.
And what if someone doesn't have such a, extreme or interesting interest?
Talk about what you are most passionate about. It doesn't matter if you love chess or skydiving. It doesn't matter what is boring or interesting. If you're passionate about something, that's what you can show to have a personality. And generally speaking, people are going to also be passionate about it, and they can see it. And I think that's why it doesn't matter if it's boring or not. There is no boring. It's boring is or not interesting is it's all subjective to the person. So I would say share your passion.
Can you give a piece of advice to a person that would like to start with personal branding? Are there any basic steps you would suggest to take?
Yeah. So a couple things. First and foremost, if you're just starting off, start on like something like LinkedIn or Medium to blog, so that you're blogging where there's an audience. If you're selling to consumers, like if you're trying to build your brand and you're a business person, typically LinkedIn is good because all your business connections have the opportunity to see your stuff. I think so. Being consistent is very, very important. Oftentimes people fail at this, and I see people kind of come and go, and that's. They were at a spurt for 6 months where they got some traction, but be consistent. And lastly, don't just repeat what else is out there. Think about how you can share unique information, or what is going to be valuable to your audience. I always lead with adding value, because worst case scenario, if things don't work out and let's say you don't build as big a personal brand, or you don't build a personal brand, you still contributed positively to your community, your kind of environment, and you may have not built, let's say worst case scenario, you don't build a big personal brand, but you build maybe 100% audience. You've made an impact on 100 people's lives, and little things can make a big difference. You never really know, because most of the time you don't have a two-way conversation with your audience, and that's something that is hard to pull off. But through comments, social media, engaging people in real life, those are types of things can help you get that feedback.
It sounds really great. So thank you very much for our chat. It was great fun. And I have one last question. Can you tell me something more about the injury you had? What the hell happened there? I'm talking about the 17 bones injury.
Oh yeah. So 17 different times, so not one time.
Oh my God! All right.
Yeah, less painful, but spread out over a longer period of time. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been a misfit. I've always think when I see a sign that says "Don't do this," my immediate reaction is, what would happen if I did that?
Oh my God.
And so as a kid, I was doing that. So yeah, I've kind of done that. So I like being a misfit. It's fun.
Oh yeah, and it looks like you're also a misfit in the business, right? So.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much for this chat. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's sum it up.
If you want to build a brand for your business, focus on these things. Define your brand. Think of it as a person. Speak to your customers honestly and aim to build long-term relationships. And don't be afraid to be innovative, bold, and daring. Be yourself. This way you'll always be original. One last word from me, let's just say no to boring business and boring entrepreneurship. It's 21st century, the age of startups, so let's forget about old-fashioned way of doing business and make it more personal.
Business Sidekick.
Alright, that's it for today. I hope that you liked today's interview and that you will be able to implement Sujan's tips in your business. In case you don't want to miss further episodes of Business Sidekick, hit subscribe button on iTunes, SoundCloud or YouTube. All the best and take care.
This podcast was brought to you by LiveChat.